Yes, yeah. Okay.
You can also talk from your seats. You don't have to.
Yeah,
sure. I myself am a scientist. I've studied climate quite extensively, and I consider myself a skeptic.
And as you talk, there'll be another side here listening to you
Sure.
that says, very interesting.
Good to hear your point of view.
Let me talk first about some of the things that we can agree on.
Let's
because
dive
then
on.
hopefully we can move past those things into some of the things that we disagree on.
What's your name? I didn't get your name, sorry.
My name is Devin Watkins.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We skeptics agree that the temperature has increased over the last 100 years.
You'd like to just speak, okay?
About 0.7 degrees it's increased. We think that it hasn't increased significantly since 1998. We think that 1,000 years ago, it wasn't that much different than it was now. Yes, it was colder 100 years ago, but we believe 1,000 years ago, it wasn't that much different. Now, as to some of these climate models, predictions, how they interpret and understand the climate, we believe that there's two missing things that are in the current climate models. Those are the Pacific Dakota Oscillation. These are flows in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, and how that flow moves around and changes temperature over time. We've been in an extremely warm period right now, which has increased the temperature, but currently that's not accounted for in some of the models. The second thing that's not accounted for are what are called cosmic rays. Cosmic rays, the things from out in the galaxy, outside of our solar system, that come into our solar system and bombard our atmosphere. Our sun protects us in some ways from that cosmic rays by ionizing our atmosphere and by this envelope out to the termination shock of where our solar system is that prevents some of those cosmic rays from coming into our solar system to get into our atmosphere. Based on a variety of scientific results recently that have shown that these cosmic rays can create the initial particles, very, very small particles, and then other experiments that show those particles can grow over time to become cloud condensing nuclei, and eventually can increase the amount of clouds that we have here on Earth. Those clouds reflect sunlight back into the outer space and cool the Earth. These cosmic rays are not accounted for in the IPCC currently. Those are two areas that we believe...
IPCC meaning?
Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
How come they're not accounted for, do you think?
They're fairly new. There is not yet extensive scientists that agree that they are changing the environment, and until that all agree, they have decided not to include any of them. We skeptics don't believe that to be accurate.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I love your energy. You're really, like all the rest of us, you really want to get a point across, and an important point across. I want to know what's behind the, what is it, who are you talking to over here? What's the she, he, it look like? Is it just not getting it, or what are you, what's...
Well, I mean, I've talked to, I've read extensively about climate science.
Good.
I've read a variety of different sources. I've read the IPCC reports. I've read science, all kinds of other stuff. But there just is not...
You can't quite get your voice across. It's not being heard.
Exactly. There's not that many people out there that are listening to the climate scientists, and unfortunately, we feel that the current boards that manage the variety of scientific publications reject climate skeptics regularly because we're skeptics.
Why do they do it? Here's somebody over here that's we're rejecting you guys. Why are we doing it? What's with us over here? What do you see? What's wrong with us in your mind? I love your mind.
Wrong with you and your mind? I think...
We know the truth over here. Come on, what's going on here? 98% of people say this.
Again, it's not 98% of people. There are a lot of climate skeptics out here. Sure. Again, there isn't as many in Portland, Oregon, but there are many, many skeptics throughout the world.
I appreciate that you're speaking, because in this room maybe you would feel more like a minority, so it's important that you speak and we can have this dialogue.
I'm on your side too, though. Maybe somebody else can take that side there.
But let me speak to one other real quick thing.
Okay.
Those two areas are the two areas that we believe the climate models are not represented currently. But that's one side of the equation. The other side, because those at the outputs match the temperature record fairly accurately, the other side is the feedback factor of CO2. We agree that if you increase the amount of CO2, you do increase the temperature. But that's not the real question. The real question is, how much do you increase the temperature? And
also what's creating the CO2, of course.
We believe that the temperature only increases by about 1 degree for a doubling of CO2, rather than 3 degrees, as the IPCC believes.
Well, I want to know, before you answer, I just want to, thank you for coming and speaking to us. Before you do, I just want to ask, don't sit down. Stay right there. We need you. And we need you.
This is exactly the dialogue we're hoping we can have, because it doesn't happen so
It's
much.
the dialogue. You said they don't believe or something, or you don't, well, how did you put that? You feel like people aren't listening to skeptical thinking, is that what it is?
I think there's a variety of scientific boards for a variety of the scientific publications that are unfortunately rejecting skeptics because they're skeptics. Unfortunately, based on the climate gate emails and a variety of other sources, we now believe that
just because they're skeptics, they're being rejected?
There's an organized effort to prevent skeptics from being published.
Wow, okay. Thank you for saying that. That's a big point, and it's one that I've heard many times. Can someone speak to that?
You can speak to that.
Yeah.
Why are skeptics not being allowed to publish?
Am I allowed just to say something about the process first? Am I allowed to do that?
As long as it's a dialogue.
The process that we're in here. Let me say that I've just done something that, because I hope there are going to be more voices, I've just done something that I said I would not do, and that is have a one-on-one debate, red corner, blue corner, because this is the way the media always wants to portray this, and this is extremely unhelpful, because I don't want to engage in a battle with you. I can answer your questions, but I don't want to beat you.
Nice.
That's just entertainment sport. That's why the media do it. They just want to entertain you. So they have you saying this, you saying that, but there are responses to your questions. And if you like, what I would like to do is exactly what you said at the beginning. Find the areas that we can agree on. Find where we disagree. See if there are reasons why we disagree that can be resolved. And if we can't agree on them, see if there's still ways that we can move forward. So I'm happy to respond to any of your specific issues that you've just raised.
Thank you.
Okay. So what would you like me to touch on? Carbon dioxide and the amplification.
He was talking about the sense of being denied also publication as a skeptic. Why is that sometimes happen?
Somebody, can you speak to that?
Yes.
I want to also support you, what you just said. You don't like the idea of the media. The media is the one that likes all the big battles happening, and they dream stuff up more than maybe happening.
I think they just place us against each other so that we have a battle, and
well,
that
let's
isn't
get
going to
together.
happen. But if we talk about suppression of opposing voices. Firstly, and can I just say that I'm a trained skeptic. That's what a scientist is. I spent all of my life trying
to... Oh, you agree with that?
I'm a skeptic too. How many people here are skeptical sometimes? Okay, we're all together. Skeptic as well. Unfortunately, that name has been sort of appropriated to mean something slightly different, and that's very unhelpful.
But it's only over here. It's not.
Yes, but you see, I hate tribalizing things, so I won't use the words, denial or whatever, and I don't like being called a warmist or an alarmist. There are people who agree that we've got a problem, there are people who disagree that there are a problem, there are people who don't know. And you disagree, I agree, and we need to resolve this in a
and I'm an alarmist, you've got to change in 2 minutes around.
But on the publications, actually those publications have been published. Sven Mark has got his papers published.
Absolutely.
So
there are some scientists that get published, but unfortunately, when one of the scientists get around to getting published one place, that editor gets fired almost immediately. And it's happened several times.
Well, I don't think that's really true. And,
It's 3 times I'm aware of.
I do know where that's happened. For example, with the MIT press, I do. What you're saying is not altogether wrong.
But a colleague of mine and I just submitted a paper to Nature Climate Change, and it was rejected. Do you know why? Because there were some crap things in it, actually. I have to admit that.
But there was
crap things in it. Yes, well, things that could have been better. The referees found some points that need to be sorted out. We're going to sort them out. And so my first reaction to a paper being rejected by a journal is that one needs to read the referees' comments very, very carefully to see why they rejected it. And if you do, you often find, if you know, are honest about it, that there are really good reasons why.
But I'm on his side just now, but there are actually situations where bringing forward just the topic is enough to get all the editors really upset. Ooh, not him, not that. That does happen.
Sure.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I think this happens to all of us. You know, I've had several papers rejected, and I didn't think they were crap. I mean, they were new ways of doing things that were not accepted by the scientific community. So this happens to all of us.
I understand that. Papers get rejected all the time, and if it was being rejected because there was some faulty data in it, it wasn't, missed something that all scientists could agree on, we would go, absolutely, that's fine. But we, as skeptics, feel that some of the papers are actually an organized effort to reject skeptics.
How come you think that's the case?
Well, I mean, we have the emails from the people organizing it. It makes it a lot easier to find out.
Do you think there's like a conspiracy or something that's saying we really want to make sure these people aren't heard?
Well, it's not as much as a conspiracy as there are some specific scientists that are working together to try to make sure they're the one that reviews any of the skeptics, and then they can reject it.
It does happen, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to address several of your points. My name is Valérie Masson-Delmotte. I'm from France. I'm a climate scientist. And I'm also involved as an author of IPCC reports. What I wanted to mention is that, it's not always black and white. And for instance, the IPCC report we are working on, it's open for review for the scientific community. Everyone can register and send review comments. It's based on the published literature.
What journal is that?
It's the International Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It was briefly started. And you said it doesn't handle cosmic rays, but there are new publications. And you can access the report draft that's under review, and it's handled because there's emerging literature, and it will be just handled.
No, I understand that. And don't get me wrong, the IPCC is many good scientists, and the science that they put in there is good science. The problem is twofold. First, the science is good, but then the politicians get involved for what the summaries are and some of the stuff like that, which is not good. And the other piece is some of the contrarian views, not held by a majority of scientists, but that are skeptical scientists, are not included.
And I also wanted to mention that our research system is shifting. We are, of course, committed to be more and more open and transparent. So most of the data we are working with are available. All the climate model results, they are on databases, they are available. And we have open access review processes. As an editor, I invited Stephen McIntyre, who's presenting himself as a skeptic, to be a reviewer of papers.
I mean, that is great, but we have here also, thank you for being so definitive and exact about things, but also, we're nervous that, I don't know, we don't know if climate change is happening as, it's not quite as urgent as some people say. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
In fact, it's so not urgent that should we forget it?
No, again, the key is to focus on the amount of damage that any solution would do to our economy or other areas compared to any potential benefit we might get.
Okay, we're coming together here. It's not the climate change. If we just make sudden changes as you're suggesting, then our economy is going to have could have lots of problems and other things. So you're trying to really also protect people at the same time, the economy and what have you. You're not just a...
I feel like the scientists who preceded you in their presentations acknowledged us as listeners more than you're acknowledging us. I feel like I don't get any acknowledgement from you for hearing your perspective. You can get a long amount of time to speak, but you're not appreciating your privilege.
I definitely appreciate the privilege. I'm sorry if I have to rush through some of my explanations fairly quickly. I don't know how much time I'll be given and whatnot, so I can try to get to the point very quickly.
Nice. Before we go further, right now, thank you for saying that, Nicole, don't leave entirely. Would you, each of you, please, so it's not just in the center, which is a lot of happening now, turn to someone or two people next to you that you like or you don't like, and please talk to them for a minute, let's say up to 4 minutes, about your viewpoints about what's going on. You talk to the neighbor about your viewpoint.
Your feelings on
Please,
what's happening.
and then we'll come back to the center.
Your opinion.